So I've been making videos about book recommendations for over a year now, and quite frankly, your boy is running out of ideas. And because we live in a flourishing capitalist society, there is always someone willing to take your money when you're in a crisis. Okay, Jack Marks, Jesus. Social commentary aside, I found this website where you can pay a professional book expert, by the way, dream job title. You fill in a personal survey and then they will recommend you some books that they think you'll enjoy. There's two versions of this. One is where they will send you the books and one is where they just send you recommendations. So I'm gonna go for that option and buy them myself so I can buy them secondhand. And we are gonna get some tailored recommendations just for me. We've done Taylor's recommendations. We've done that one. This time it's tailored recommendations. So, am I really gonna pay $15 for someone to just recommend me some books? Yes, I am. Is this daylight robbery? Maybe, but I'm intrigued, so take my money, please. By the way, I do just need to add that this video concept is not unique. I did not come up with this. This was heavily inspired by Kayla from Books and Lala, who came up with this concept. I have never had an original thought ever, so I'm gonna be doing it too. So it's called TBR, which stands for Tailored Book Recommendations. Very clever, I like it, Picasso. And here we go, full-time tech granddad strikes again. Hopefully, you can see this screen recording. If not, I will cry myself to sleep. So, how it works. In a book lover's life, there's nothing as magical as a perfect, surprising recommendation from someone who just gets you. But finding those people can be tough. TBR Reed said, "You book lovers are losers. You need some friends, and we will take your money to be that friend." That's where TBR comes in. Yep. So, step one, tell us about your reading habits and what you're looking for, then select the plan that best suits your reading lifestyle. 2, our expert bibliologists call on decades of reading to select 3 books just for you. Who is this pigeon? This pigeon is really putting me off. 3, Reginald the carrier pigeon. Oh, it's Reginald. Of course, it's Reggie. Can I call you Reggie? I'm not sure I would choose a pigeon to be my brand mascot, but to each their own. Reginald the carrier pigeon delivers your tailored recommendation with a personal note from your bibliologist and you get your read on. Let's get started. Easy question, what's your name? I've got this one. What are your favourite genres? I'm going with literary fiction, historical fiction, and contemporary fiction. Is there anything you want to explore more of in your reading life? I'm gonna put translated fiction and world literature. What are the last books you really loved? The Universe by Jack Edwards. Banger of a book, if I do say so myself. I'm actually going to put the books that I included in my top books of the year for 2021 because I feel like that will give them a good indication that I do have superior taste. Okay, oh, this is interesting. How should your bibliologist balance books that fit your current style and picks that branch out? Great question, love this feature. You know what, I'm gonna go with expand my literary horizons because I'm okay with things being a little bit out there. Are you looking for recommendations on a certain theme? I've put that I'd like at least one recommendation to have been translated into English because I think that opens us up to a lot more options and I'm intrigued to see what they can find. Anything else you want your bibliologist to know before they pick your books? Shall I use this as therapy? How much trauma do you want? I'm gonna go with no, they don't need to know. Okay, so I've sent that off and now we wait. I have to say, normally, I do not dream of labour, but that has got to be my dream job. Just picking books for people, how fun is that? And speaking of finding your dream job, that is the perfect way to segue into today's sponsor, Acadium. So, allow me to introduce you to Acadium. Acadium is the world's leading free education system, where you can be trained on the job by business owners who are experts in their field, completely remotely through online apprenticeships. You can sign up for free using the link down below and then do a quick vetting call, and then you'll be matched with a mentor based on what you need and what you're looking for. The apprenticeships are fully remote, they last 3 months, and you have to commit to a maximum of 10 hours per week. But there's more. In addition to those apprenticeships, Acadium also offers some amazing online courses. So here you can get some free training, you can complete tasks, and build up your skill set. You can even get a certification in digital marketing completely for free online. Did I mention that it's free? And then when you're done with your training, you can become a paid freelancer and earn money on Acadium. Genius. I'm buzzing for you guys, but absolutely fuming that I didn't know about this sooner, because it's well documented on this channel that a year ago I was applying for so many marketing jobs within the publishing industry and I just didn't have the experience. And so I was mayor of Rejection Town, population 1, me. Acadium would have been the perfect way of getting some experience for free. And so if this also tickles your pickle, then I will leave the link down below where you can sign up. And thank you so much, Acadium, for working with me on this video. And now we wait for some book recommendations, which I'm quite nervous about because I paid $15 for this. So here's hoping that they're good, and I'll catch you when they're here. Okay, so some time has passed, but I have been recommended 3 books from my book expert. I received my email and I went out and bought the books I was recommended, and I want to read you what the email said. Welcome to the world of books, where we make magic happen one book recommendation at a time. It was an absolute delight being your book guide for the day. I am a delight, because you and I share a fondness for similar genres. I think we just became best friends. I'm actually embarrassed by how validating I found this. After carefully reviewing your reading choices, I've curated a list comprising contemporary fiction, historical fiction, and literary fiction. I cannot wait for you to tear through them. Hopefully I am tearing through them and not tearing them up. So this was the first book that I was recommended. This is called Afterparties, and this is a very new release. Sorry, I forgot that they gave a description of the book. So they said, I'm so glad to meet a fellow fan of contemporary fiction. Afterparties is an in-depth exploration of the lives of Cambodian Americans. This anthology deals with themes of race, sexuality, class hierarchy, friendship, and familial relationships. Laced with the right amount of humour, this collection brings into life the stories of a community that carries the aftermath of the Khmer Rouge in its being. Every story is hard-hitting and will stay with you for so long. This recommendation was such a good one. I actually went to Cambodia a few years ago, and I'm embarrassed to say that I knew so little about what happened with the Khmer Rouge and the genocide that they committed. And I paid a visit to the Killing Fields, which, can I just say, is the most well-curated memorial I've ever been to, because it was educational and informative, but also so respectful and felt really poignant to be there. They give everyone a headset and you walk around, so the place is still kept in complete silence. And while they're telling you about the history, it also encourages you every now and then to just take some time to just walk in silence and really think about what it is that you're hearing and what you're learning about, and pay your respects to the people who really, really suffered. I was traveling with a friend, but we both walked around separately, and we both said afterwards that we would love to read more about Cambodian people and Cambodian history and Cambodian culture, and this is the perfect recommendation. And I'm also going back to Cambodia later this year for a very exciting project. But Afterparties focuses on the American Cambodian diaspora, and we mostly follow the next generation, so the children of refugees who fled from the Khmer Rouge. So it explores the inherited weight of that past and how that impacts the next generation of Cambodian Americans and how they navigate the world. So we have themes of community and belonging, but also race and class and sexuality, politics, and those generational differences. And what I thought this book did really, really well was strike the perfect balance of being simultaneously incredibly tender and heartfelt, but also at times completely absurd and ridiculous and jovial. It's a short story collection, which means that you encounter a myriad of characters. The first story draws you in with its enigmas and mysteries, and then the final story, holy moly, that had me so emotional. Even my driver's license photo had tears in its eyes. So like I said, it really oscillates between the light-hearted and the heavy-hitting. I do think inevitably some stories were better than others, but I think that's the nature of a short story collection, that you kind of do end up comparing them to each other and coming up with like a favourite story and a least favourite story. That's just how it goes. This is such a brave and bold debut piece of fiction, and I'm really just in awe of this writing. Great recommendation, exactly what I was looking for. They understood the damn assignment. Wow. And I suppose that's the beauty of something like this, because I hadn't actually heard of this book, but it is exactly what I would have wanted to read. I think if I'd seen this in the bookstore and read the blurb, I would have bought it for myself anyway. So they did a really good job of reading what I had put on the form and then turning that into a really great recommendation. So I'm intrigued to see what we have next. Also, yes, I am slightly overdressed. I've just been doing a photo shoot. Ignore that. Guys, you actually won't believe what happened this morning. So I woke up and I was like, I can smell burning. Thought, that's kind of weird. Maybe I'm having a stroke. If so, quite inconvenient. I've got quite a lot to do today. Anyway, I come into this room and the smell gets stronger. And basically, last night I was sitting here doing some work, got a little bit hot, took my jumper off, put it right here. Yeah, there's a heater down there. I have cooked my jumper. It's not even medium rare, it's well done. Kind of got a bit of an ombre going on, very stylish. If it was 2014. I can't believe it. I'm actually devastated. It's also dawning on me that this could have been so much worse. Like, Imagine if it had caught fire while I was asleep. This video would never have made it to your sub box. What a tragedy that would have been. The most annoying thing is that I actually think it looks kind of cool. I could set up my own Depop store. This looks like something you would buy in Urban Outfitters, to be fair. But am I going to risk burning the rest of this jumper? No, probably shouldn't. But yeah, you probably won't be seeing that one again. And all because I burnt it and nearly died. That might be a bit dramatic. But speaking of burning, this next book was fire. The next book that I was recommended in my tailor-made list of books was Disoriental. Bloody hell, the wind is crazy. They say, as you're interested in historical fiction and wanted recommendations on translated works of fiction, I feel we have just discovered your perfect match. At the age of 10, Camilla flees Iran as her parents become political refugees for protesting against the oppressive regime. She traces the history of her family, which has gotten intermingled with that of her country. Camilla's past has left her with a fragmentary identity, which pushes her towards a self-destructive lifestyle. Despite the loss and trauma, she is trying to find her footing and live a life that fulfills her. Moving and highly insightful, this novel, translated by Tina A. Kova, will keep you hooked. Firstly, really appreciate that they mentioned the translator, because that's something that I always try to do as well. Translators are hugely important in getting world literature to us, and so, yeah, big shout out to the translators. And actually, now I've read this, I've realised that translation is also a huge part of the novel. It's a huge theme, like the importance of language and communication and who has access to it. And secondly, I enjoyed this book. I would say it was a slow burn for me at first. Like, it took me a while to get going with it, because I did sort of struggle to get into it at first. But once I did, which was around the halfway point, I was hooked. But once I did, which was around the halfway point, I would say, I was captivated. I was in. And this book is a brilliant way to learn more about Iranian history, because its political and social history sort of simmers away in the background. Sometimes it boils over and bubbles up. So this book feels educational as well as fictional, if that makes sense. And it's set against the backdrop of an extremely tumultuous political landscape, especially because the characters' parents are very outspoken about the regime in the country. And so they kind of become symbols of the rebellion and enemies of the state. And so her father ends up fleeing to France, and then the rest of the family follow him. It's a non-linear story, but a huge theme here is self-discovery and identity. And that is facilitated by the character's movement away from her homeland to a new place. So this really feels like a book of two halves, because in the first half, all the action is very external. In the first half, things happen to her, whereas the second half is much more internal and introspective. And it's about her coming to terms with understanding and accepting her sexual identity. And this movement from Iran to France is sort of depicted as a rebirth of sorts. That's how she describes it in the novel. But that's not to say that the story isn't cohesive, because it absolutely is. Echoes of the family's past and the country that she grew up in and has an attachment to reverberates throughout the whole novel, and also everything that she does. And it's interesting to draw parallels between her feelings and sentiments of diaspora and also her coming to terms with her sexual identity. This is something that I've also seen in Chaim Salvadori's work. Funny Boy is one of my favourite novels, and I kind of wish I was still at uni and could write a comparative essay on these two things, but that is very nerdy, and I'm not going to do that. I've also proven myself to be quite incompetent, so it's probably for the best that I don't do that. But back to the book, this is so cinematically written. You can tell that the writer is also a screenwriter, and it's very unique as well, because it really focuses on the act of storytelling and breaks the fourth wall quite often. So it'll be like, actually, no, I don't want to tell that part of the story now, or we'll save that bit for later, you know, we'll come back to this. It's an acquired taste and one that you have to really stick with, but I did like it. I gave it a solid 4 stars, same as Afterparties. And now on to the third book, which I actually started reading first, but still haven't finished. I'm really struggling with it, but I'm hoping that I will be able to get a bit further, and I'll let you know my thoughts. Guys, it was going so well until now. So here is the recommendation that I got from my book bestie. As you dig literary fiction and world literature, I feel this novel will be an excellent fit for you. Little did they know the only thing I'd be digging is my own grave. The illicit happiness of other people is a tale of a family living in India and slowly trying to deal with insurmountable grief. This book is a wonderful exploration of love, loss, failed ambition, familial dysfunction, and mental health. Laced with Joseph's classic wit and charm, the ending will leave you wanting more. Here's the thing, I'm 100 pages into this and I just don't want to finish it. I'm gonna stop reading this book. I am gonna DNF it, because I have tried so hard to get into this, and I just I can't do it. I never stop reading a book. I always stick it through, but I just have no interest in this. And you know what? It's a short life with a lot of books in it, and I can't waste another minute reading this one. I just don't care about what's going on. Sorry to this man. Sorry to my book bestie. Sorry to Reginald the Pigeon. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about it. The illicit happiness of other people is basically about a family who are mourning the sudden death of their son. It's assumed to be suicide, the family isn't convinced, and that leaves them in a really weird position with their grief. It's not that this book was confusing or I didn't get it. That's not the problem here. Just sometimes you have to choose self-love. And as an act of self-care, I won't be finishing reading this. After 100 pages, I don't care for a single character. I really don't need to know what's gonna happen to them. The humor in here didn't really gel with me. I get that it's meant to be a satire, but it just isn't funny. And after so long trying to get through this, it's just not happening. My TBR bibliophile said that this would leave me wanting more. If anything, I wanted less. I actually want nothing. I want nothing of the sort, thank you. The tone is very sly and overly ironic, and I also felt like the butt of the joke was always the easiest target. Like, you should punch up rather than always punching down. And then the action that we get is basically this drunk, grieving man going around asking everyone the exact same questions, getting very little answers, like with drip-fed information. And I don't care. I did think it was interesting how the character who dies right at the start really lingers throughout the narrative. Like, he is weirdly present in every scene, despite the fact that he is not physically there. In everything the family do afterwards, the presence of that death is felt. And also the representation of schizophrenia is unlike anything I've ever read. So that was interesting, don't get me wrong. The thing is, for me, I know this is not a bad novel. It's just one that I personally really didn't gel with, and that's quite unfortunate considering it was literally Taylor recommended to me. I do wonder whether, weirdly, in my brain, the fact that I was recommended this so strongly as something that I specifically would like made me more critical when I didn't like it. Like, let's psychoanalyze me for a second. Maybe because I was expecting instant gratification from this and a new favourite book, the fact that it didn't live up to the massively high expectations that I personally had made it more disappointing and made me have less patience with the book. And I just looked online and I can only find positive reviews of this book. Maybe I am just objectively wrong, but one thing I will say, this book is out of print. Yeah, so it was first published in 2012, and that's only 10 years ago, and already they're not making any more copies of this. So maybe I'm not the only one who didn't enjoy it. I managed to find this secondhand on World of Books, which is where I buy most of my books anyway, but that was literally the only option for this, which also is quite a weird thing to recommend a book that is out of print. Ultimately though, this fell flat for me, and it's time to go and read something else. Sorry for ending this video on a bit of a bum note, but the first two books were great and so up my street. This one was not just not up my street, it was in a different postcode, it was in a different galaxy. But like I said, they did smash the first two. Those two were smash. This one was pass. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. To me, it was really interesting to get some unique and customized book recommendations and see what I actually think of them based on someone else's impression of my taste. Even though we had varied results. So, thank you so much to Acadium for sponsoring this video. As I said, the link is down below. If you're new here, you can subscribe if you'd like. We are approaching what the hell? That's insane. That should not be allowed, but if you want to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Until next time, all the best, stay in touch, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye-bye!